Well, hello and welcome to my latest video. This video is a career video featuring a former featherweight and a former pound for pound rated fighter, Oscar Gardner, who, as you can see, had well over 100 fights in his career with nearly 90 wins. So let us go through his career. So Oscar Gardner begins with a 4-fight series against Solly Smith, scoring 3 wins, 1 loss and no draw. He also fights and loses to young Peter Jackson, the dangerous Baltimore Demon. Also, Oscar Gardner defeats former lineal champion Torpedo Billy Murphy. Next up is Rube Ferns. Oscar Gardner fights Ferns to a draw. He then fights and loses to George Dixon before fighting former champion Dave Sullivan on 2 occasions, scoring 1 win, 1 loss and no draw. Next up, another former champion, Harry Forbes, also fought on 2 occasions by Gardner. Gardner scores 1 win and 1 draw. He then also on here loses 2 fights from 2 to terrible Terry McGovern before then also losing to former featherweight champion young Corbett II. Next up is Tommy Dixon. Gardner has 5 fights against Tommy Dixon, scoring 2 wins, 2 loss and 1 draw. He also fights 5 times Johnny Van Heest, going unbeaten in those 5 fights, scoring 3 wins and 2 draws. He then also fights a draw with Austin Rice. Next up is Eugene Bazena. Gardner fights him on 6 occasions, scoring 2 wins with no losses and 4 draws. And the final 2 names on here, 2 contenders. The first is Jack McClelland. Oscar Gardner fights him twice, scoring 1 win and 1 draw. And then he also defeats former lightweight contender Sam Boland in a singular fight. So that is slide 1 for Oscar Gardner. When we go on to slide 2, he fights 2 draws from 2 fights against Martin Flaherty. He then also fights the opponent I featured yesterday, Tim Callahan, on 3 occasions. Now Gardner loses 2 and draws 1 to the excellent boxer Tim Callahan. He then fights and draws, in a singular fight to Tommy White before twice fighting contender Eddie Santry, scoring 1 win, 1 loss and no draws. Oscar Gardner then also defeats Kid Broad before his final opponent listed here, Clarence Forbes, of whom he fought twice and suffered 2 defeats. So there are 46 fights highlighted there. Oscar Gardner has 17 wins, 14 losses and 15 draws. So going on to KOs and rounds boxed, Oscar Gardner scored 56 knockouts. He scored 14 KOs in 3 rounds or less and 2 in the first round. Now Gardner scored 3 KOs against champions, 0 KOs against Hall of Famers. He also scored 3 KOs or stoppages against pound for pound fighters. Oscar Gardner, of course, full pre-rating era fighter, so he scored no KOs against rated opponents. Now in terms of rounds boxed, Gardner boxed 1,691 professional career rounds. He fought 32 title fight rounds and he fought totals of 143 rounds against champions, 38 rounds against Hall of Famers and 139 rounds against pound for pound fighters. Oscar Gardner fought no rounds, being a pre-rating era fighter, with no ratings against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters or ring champions. So going on to the slide against champions, Oscar Gardner had 15 fights. He scored 6 wins with 7 losses and 2 draws. Gardner beat 4 individual champions. They were Solly Smith, Torpedo Billy Murphy, Dave Sullivan and Harry Forbes. And Gardner scored knockout or stoppage over 3 of those 4 champions, stopping Dave Sullivan, Solly Smith and Harry Forbes. Only Torpedo Billy Murphy was not stopped. So going on to the Hall of Fame slide, Oscar Gardner had 4 fights against Hall of Famers. All 4 fights were defeats, so he beat no individual Hall of Famers and also scored knockouts over no individual Hall of Fame fighters. And going on to the third category, pound for pound fighters, we see Oscar Gardner had 14 fights, including 6 wins, 6 losses, 2 draws. Gardner defeated 4 individual pound for pound fighters. That includes Dave Sullivan, Solly Smith, Harry Forbes and Torpedo Billy Murphy, and he stopped 3 of the 4, Dave Sullivan, Solly Smith and Harry Forbes. So there's major opponents. Going on to rated opponents. Okay, Oscar Gardner, as a pre-rating era fighter, has no fights against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters or ring champions. Thus by default he defeated no rated fighters individually and also scored knockouts over 0 rated fighters. So going on to title fight slide. Now Oscar Gardner did have 3 world title fights. All 3 of those fights were defeats, so his no wins, 3 losses, no draws. He thus made no title defences and scored no title fight KOs. And Oscar Gardner has no wins against top 10 fighters, top 3 fighters or ring champions, or indeed champions, Hall of Famers and pound for pounders in title fights. So going on to our last slide. Okay, titles won. Oscar Gardner was never awarded a belt and with no title fight wins, so thus he captured no world titles, no lineal titles and no undisputed titles. He did get pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. He scored many good wins, just never managed to capture that elusive world title that would have gave him more stature. Certainly amongst the featherweight division his name would have appeared in every featherweight champion list for the rest of time, but sadly, alas, he never caught one. So there's one featherweight down for today, Oscar Gardner. Okay, just notification that I will do a second career video today, okay, and it's due to the fact I was asked about Willie Pep yesterday, so I will indeed, I've done Oscar Gardner now, I will also then add Willie Pep into my featherweight playlist later on today. So Willie Pep's career video will come later today. So anyway, there's my latest video, the tough contender at featherweight, Oscar Gardner. I'm the boxing librarian. I'm out for now.